Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. As you guys can tell, I am tired. I'm not tired because I'm a tired critic, I'm like sleepy Safi. No, I'm tired because I just got done watching another episode of The Old Man. And The Old Man, unfortunately, turned out to be a big piece of trash. And it was blatant false advertising in the sense that the trailers made it look out to be an action show, a thriller show, and neither of those things are present in the show for more than a second here or there. Especially in this episode where the majority of it was just people sitting around talking. People standing around talking. The only thing that I can say that I'm thankful for is that there wasn't more than like 20 seconds of people talking on the phone. And you guys know that this whole show is basically consisted of people talking on the fucking phone. So I'm really disappointed in the show. It has a lot of potential. You have these great actors. You have what could be a good storyline with the typical story where one guy has to run from a big organization, lots of bad guys, and things don't go good. Like the thing with Karen, his quote unquote wife, that whole situation should have been like a 2-episode arc where her character comes and goes. She shouldn't have become the main character. You know, just stuff like that. This really doesn't feel like a show. And that's the other thing, is that nowadays we have gone from television shows back in the early 2000s where you had the X-Files, had how many, 9 seasons of 20-something episodes each, and then the shitty revival that that shorted the show. You had The Sopranos, that had quite a number of episodes and like 8 seasons. You had Smallville, that had 10 seasons, 20-something episodes each. And at a certain point, there were these people who started creatives, if you could even call these people creative, since all they want to do is restrict their own creativity. These quote-unquote creative people, they started saying, well, if we make 5 seasons or less and 10 episodes or less, then that means we won't have any bad television, because the story will be so tight that we won't overstay our welcome, and we won't ever have a bad season of TV anymore, because it's just all killer, no filler. And the problem with that is that now that has been applied to everything. I think that it's applicable in some cases. I think that Broadchurch was a show where that show should have gone on longer. Obviously, it only went on for 3 measly fucking seasons. And it didn't even fucking end. I mean, it ended on this, like, just, oh god. Maybe I should talk about Broadchurch, because that show's way worse than this, that last season. But that show actually worked in the small amount of episodes they had. It still felt like a good show, where you could watch it week to week, and cool stuff happens every episode. It's a mystery show. The first season was really good. Second season sucked. Third season was abysmal. But that's a good example. But to apply that to every show is a complete mistake, because now I just looked at like the AMC television show slate, and all I see are these shows that all are going to have 6 episodes a season, and it makes me want to punch the television screen. That's how much it pisses me off, because that's not a TV show. Okay, that's a mini movie. That's a mini series. And so that's what television has become. It's become pretentious mini movies. And I hate it. I can't stand it. It's horrible. It is it's irritating, because you have a show like this where nothing happens. Nothing has happened this whole season of this fucking show. Everything from the trailer was just so misconstrued, and to the point where the trailers were actually better than this entire series so far. Nothing is happening. And unfortunately, maybe in the last 2 episodes, something will happen. And it'll be too late, because you've already lost all the viewers. Because you know why? There's only 2 episodes of this shit left. 2 episodes. Only 7 episodes. I mean, just what are they thinking? That is not a show. That is not a TV show. Like, just come on, Hollywood. Get up off your lazy asses and make double that amount. Make 14 episodes. Make 24 episodes. Don't just sit around making 7-episode miniseries. I mean, why did they even have miniseries? They should just call those TV series as well. Because didn't the Queen's Gambit have more episodes than this shit? I mean, come on. So that really pisses me off. The fact that there's only 2 episodes left, nothing has happened, and the show's just a complete disaster. So I guess I should just give up on the show right now. In terms of my investment, I mean, I'm not saying like I'm going to stop reviewing it. No, I mean like my personal investment, where I was genuinely hoping that the show would turn itself around. This episode, every episode surprises you by how much it slows down. Last episode, you were surprised that instead of the people meeting Faraz Hamzad, the bad guy, quote unquote, because you know that they don't want to make him look like the bad guy, because he's Middle Eastern, and because they have this like message where it's like, no, nobody ever thinks they're the bad guy, and it's like, no, that's not really true. I mean, have you ever heard of mass shooters? I mean, they think they're the bad guys. They like being the bad guys. Just call bullshit on that. But last episode, you thought, oh, they're going to meet Faraz Hamzad, and it's going to be like this quick thing, or maybe it's going to detail some origin shit that no one cares about. No. Instead, they spend an hour. They spend a whole fucking hour. An hour. AKA all day in their time. Talking to a lawyer. And talking to a lawyer for that terrorist. I mean, warlord, whatever the fuck that guy is. I don't even know. He's a guy. He's an NPC from the backstory so far. We haven't even seen him in the present day yet. What a great villain. No, he's not a great villain. In fact, I thought John Lithgow was the villain. I don't understand. So, last episode, things slowed down to a grinding halt. This episode, things slowed down even more. Where the whole episode, you have John Lithgow, and he's talking to Freckles on the plane. They're just talking back and forth on the plane, and it's some really cringeworthy dialogue. It's some like 18-year-old pretentious theater class student wrote this dialogue where Freckles is saying, "You're making me cut off parts of my body that I don't even know about, and it hurts more than you could imagine." It's like, what the fuck is this fucking writing? This is such bad writing. She's like, she's talking about like having mutant body parts or something to equivocate, like, just, ugh. And then there's this part where she talks about, like, "You said my mother's real name, Beldar, and it was the first time ever since I was a kid that I heard that real name. Maybe I should cut you open and pull your guts inside out, and that's how it will feel for you." Like, this is cartoony at this point. I mean, this back and forth that they have on the plane, it was so bizarre. I thought, like, is this a joke? Is this whole episode a prank? Like, this back and forth that they have. And she feels betrayed because, of course, the episode starts, and instead of action starting the episode in this quote-unquote action show, what starts the episode is another character, Freckles, tells another anecdote, or like a hypothetical, whatever the hell, or an allegory. Like, she's like, there once was a man, and he drove down the street, and then he crashed and burned. And then the man got out of his car and he walked down the street. But the street didn't walk down him. That's the equivalent of what these anecdotes are to me. These little stories that these characters constantly tell. It's like, take a shot every time a character is sitting or standing around telling a story that has no relevance to the episode, or just has no, what do you call it, like, it doesn't evoke anything. It just pisses me off that this is so fucking boring, and these characters just talk, and they just keep talking and talking. And then so John Lithgow, he says that she has to choose between being the daughter of Beldar or being the fake daughter of John Lithgow. And she's like, "You cannot make me do this, sir. I am two persons of equal importance, sir." And she's trash in this episode. Like, she's been okay the whole season, but in this episode, like, I don't know if it was just the acting or if it was the script and the acting, but it was this horrible dialogue that they gave her. It was so goofy and so cringeworthy. And so then let's talk about the old couple, because the show is turned from the old man into the old couple at this point. You got Dan Chase and Karen, and it's so funny because the one thing I did like was that last episode, you thought they were going to stick to this really shitty twist where she goes full on Karen and she's just completely screwing him over like a femme fatale type of thing. And but the funny thing is, in this episode, he doesn't even care. Like, he's just like, okay, there you go. It's hilarious. And he's just about to walk out the door because he heard about his daughter going to meet Farazi Hamazad, and he's not having that. He's gonna go there and talk to him to death. He'll talk his ears out until they bleed, and then he dies from being talked to death by Jeff Bridges. Which, honestly, that would probably be a better death than most of the deaths people suffer through on this show. Of course, nobody's really died since like episode 3 or whatever. Or did that person? Did they even? I can't remember. It's so bad. But he just completely shakes it off. He's like, okay, whatever, bye bye. And she's like, wait a second. And she's real. And this is why her character is bad, is because instead of like naturally fitting into these situations, every single episode she's standing around like an airhead, constantly going like, wait a second, how am I included in this? I want to be a part of this. And it's like, just GTFO, Karen. Like, we're so sick of you. And, like, you're a good actress. Tell Me Your Secrets was a way better show than this shit. But, just GTFO. Or I guess, I don't know. So what happens is she goes along with them because she wants to be included in going on a suicide mission to the Middle East. And that's another thing, is we literally all knew and predicted. I don't understand how this book was adapted into a show, because this is some of the worst storytelling I've ever seen. But we knew since the beginning, his daughter's gonna be used against him. He's gonna go and rescue his daughter, and then he's gonna have to sacrifice himself. And guess what? That's exactly what he's doing. And it's like just the most predictable thing that you could imagine. And so then I guess he sells his dogs, or he gives them away. I don't understand. Or he has someone take care of them. I don't know. But that was unpleasant because, those 2 dogs were better actors than any of the main actors on the show. And they were more entertaining to watch, is what I mean. Like, they didn't do any talking. They just barked and chewed people to death. And it's really unfortunate that those 2 characters got kicked off the show. And when you also realize the fact that if that bitch had stayed, she could have probably taken care of the dogs and they would have been just fine. But instead she had to go off with him to a suicide mission in the Middle East. So that's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. So I really didn't like that. I thought that was stupid, for sure. I mean, it's just, there's so many dumb things in this show that, like, if I talked about all of them, this would be like for hours just going on. Like, I could just rip apart every single sequence of this episode in particular. Like, they have another flashback sequence where I guess they're standing around listening to Faraz torture a Russian person, and then he still doesn't talk, and then they do another nighttime scene, and of course they have to, I think, because they have to meet in secret, so it does make sense story-wise, but I can't see a damn thing. And that really pisses me off as well, because it's more Fargo season 4 lighting. And so we have another scene that goes on for like 10 minutes of young Jeff Bridges and young Beldar, and they're talking about something. I didn't even care. Like, I was falling asleep. I'm gonna fall asleep just thinking about this shit again, like, that's how boring it is. And then they, Jeff Bridges and Karen, they go to the airport. No, they also do this trash sequence where he's sitting in the car, and I just thought, like, okay, what's gonna happen next with this show? Like, there's obviously got to be more talking, because there was a time where, like, nobody was talking for a whole minute, and I was like, uh-oh, something must be wrong. Like, someone's got to talk eventually on this shitty, boring talk show. So Jeff Bridges starts talking to himself, and he starts hallucinating that Beldar is there with him, and she's saying that she's his slave, and that she's his ghost slave, and she wants to be set free. And it's like, what the hell is this? And if you're wondering where Karen is, Karen gets out of the car and meets with the investor to persuade him to invest in that enemy of Faraz's. And we don't even get to see really how she persuades him or anything. It's just this very quick scene, and it's really not good at all. And it's just so stupid. Like, this is what I said, it's the old couple. It's not the old man, it's the old couple. And then in the airport, she's like, you know, I might not have been the partner that you thought you wanted, but maybe I was the partner that you needed. I can see the good in you. And it's like, well, bitch, where were you when you just, like, stole half this man's shit a couple of minutes ago? Like, where was the good in him then? Like, you were like, oh, I see this guy and I can see the good in him, but then you steal half of his money and half of all of everything he owns, because you learned divorce BS when you divorced your first husband. Like, I'm sorry, but she doesn't really care about Jeff Bridges at all. And then finally, we have, oh yeah, and there was also the boring scene, more talking, where the hitman is still, somehow, Dan Chase's father meets up with the hitman who failed to kill Dan Chase. And Dan Chase's father wants him to kill Dan Chase. And it's like, ooh. And it's like, I don't even care. This is so boring. It's like, really, just more talking? Like, more talking? You couldn't just do anything. Like, just, why would you even call this an action show? There's no action in anywhere. And finally, John Lithgow and Freckles, they land, and I guess Jonathan Lithgow is like, whatever. The plot won't let me contest her decision to be two people, and she won't cut off her fake limbs for me, so I guess I'll just have to forget about this and move on so that I can talk to someone else. Like, that's this whole show, is just, okay, I talked to that person, who's the next person I gotta talk to? And I gotta talk to myself, and gotta talk to your mom. Like, that's this whole show. And it ends with John Lithgow and Freckles are in this library or something, or this basement, and they're given this test where he has to tell her, he has to tell the lawyer. So he's talking to the lawyer again. He has to tell the lawyer the secret agent numbers of the two agents, Dan Chase and Beldar, and he can't remember, obviously, because who would? Like, so he's like searching around, and he says their numbers, and then it turns out it was just all a big setup, and it was all a big, like, trap, which is something else that we could have predicted, since they had to create some more drama with the daughter and have her somehow get trapped and in danger. So, the lawyer is going to release that statement of his guilt, and she's going to make everyone know in the world of all the stuff that he did. And so now John Lithgow and Freckles are forced to be well, John Lithgow is forced to be a hero and help Dan Chase kill Faraz Hamzad, so that then he can go back to the United States and clear his name. Wow. I don't even care. Like, the action in this show, the only action in this whole episode was when John Lithgow threw his phone in anger across the room. I mean, that's how boring this is. I mean, I'm just getting bored talking about it in this review. So I'm going to end it like, I feel sleepy again. I give this episode a D-. D-. Because I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of, like, every week now it's gonna be, well, I guess 2 more weeks isn't that bad, but every week is just me, like, struggling to not fall asleep watching these terrible episodes of television where nothing happens. So anyways, please like this video, comment, and tell me what you thought of The Old Couple episode 5. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more episode reviews of The Old Couple. Good everybody.